Hello Scrolls fans, Smoking here with another episode of Scrollscast. I just watched, it wasn't recorded, but I watched Verzuvius absolutely growth JonLx. He had the perfect double Vader of the Wild draw into double Wetland Ranger into double Stagheart, and the game was over immediately. JonLx in a rematch right afterwards in this ranked game does not want that to happen. Both very strong players. Verzuvius is rated above 1850 right now, and JonLx is no slouch himself. He's been in and out of the top 10 for quite some time. Really strong player, and he's got the first creature on the board this time, as well as the second with the Dust Runner into Gun Automaton. Verzuvius had first turn advantage, but had a much slower hand this time. But he does have a turn 3 Earthborn Mystic, not bad at all. 4 health keeps it out of Dust Runner range, and being 2 spaces away, of course, keeps it out of Dust Runner range. 4 health keeps it out of burn range. Really, this is just an insanely strong scroll. Drives me a little crazy how strong it is. I'd love to see its health dropped to 3. I think that would be a very good thing. As it stands right now, it is just basically the best card out there, and every growth deck uses it because it's just amazing. Canonetta comes down, and JonLx is looking to threaten the amazing Earthborn Mystic, who will need something standing in the way if it's going to survive much longer. Could play another Earthborn Mystic in front of it, gets rid of the Crimson Bull, stays on 3 resources. Unfortunately, no other creature to play, so the Earthborn won't die immediately, and so it looks like he's okay leaving it down there, forcing JonLx to go to the bottom if he wants to try to take it down. And he can do so with a Desperation on his Gun Automaton, and that might be the way to go about this turn. Doesn't want to let Verzuvius draw an enchantment off the Mystic. Desperation would move down. Desperation actually played on the Gun Auto. Desperation seems to be played more on opponents' units rather than your own units anymore, but you can still play it as the buff it was originally designed for. That would be his whole turn, unfortunately. He could go up to 4 resources, move his guys to the middle, and maybe threaten this Earthborn Mystic and make it move up as well. He does get rid of the Desperation, so he's okay letting the Mystic survive. Finds a Bombard, so again he could take it out, trade it 1 scroll for 1 scroll, but may not feel like he really wants to. He could just drop a Scout Automaton and take it down to 1 health, so that if it does draw an enchantment, it would die right away, and that actually seems like a really nice play. That might be what I would do in this situation. 25 seconds to decide. There's the Scout Auto. Does play it in front of his other units and moves the Dust Runner up, so the Earthborn Mystic will want to run away. Finds another Earthborn Mystic, so we got the triple Earthborn action going on here. Maybe more inclined to play out one of these other units instead. Note that this Earthborn is going to die to this piercing damage basically no matter what happens. I suppose no, not even Rumble would work. So he does go ahead and sacrifice it, finds a Stagheart. Still hasn't sacrificed. He can choose, and he can sacrifice that Stagheart for resources. That might be what I do. Go up to 4 and then maybe play Wetland Ranger in preparation to receive an enchantment from the Earthborn Mystic next turn. Does get rid of the Stagheart. Could you strike Fangbear for the relentless damage as well? The thing about the Ranger is it's out of range of the Dust Runner unless JonLx has some sort of damage, which he probably is going to. He's playing energy. So maybe move the units up like we see Verzuvius doing, Wetland Ranger up in the middle, but he chooses the Fangbear instead, and that's fine. There's lots of humans in John's deck, so that's going to have +3 attack and relentless for most of the game, and it definitely wears the enchantments pretty well too. John does find another Scout Automaton, so he can turn all his Automatons into really strong units. Thinking about his positioning here, also needs to think about what to sacrifice. 4 very strong scrolls in hand, doesn't want to get rid of any of them. Canonetta is the choice, and I think it's the right one. Ooh, finds a Stormrunner and a Forge. Look at the 3-drop army. He's only going to be able to pick 1. He's still on 3 resources in round 5, but he's got some really strong ones to pick from. He chooses the Scout Auto, and so that'll buff his other units. I probably would have waited 1 turn to play the Scout Auto, but he might be setting up for a burn next turn if the Earthborn Mystic does grab an enchantment. That might be why he played the Scout now. Verzuvius can go up to 5 resources and get Kinfolk Veteran out, but the Scouts defend very well against the Veterans. The armor won't allow them to be killed, so that's probably not what we're going to see. Maybe the Wetland Ranger instead, or the 3rd Earthborn Mystic played back behind this bear, or maybe the bear shifts back and play one of those other guys in front. Wetland Ranger does come down. Note due to that placement, Verzuvius is not able to move down very well, and that's something he might have wanted to do, but that's okay. He does have a strong top row position. JonLx finds a cannon automaton, still has the Christmas decorations, one of my favorite scrolls. It's not a wonderful scroll, but still one of my favorites. Look at the win percentage on this one right now, though. Dang. Goes up to 4 resources. There's the burn on the Earthborn Mystic, takes it down, and the automatons get their attacks in. So JonLx putting early pressure on the idols. Excuse me, Verzuvius needs to get into attack range on that middle row, but really can't do it this turn. He's going to have to maybe just attack the top, and then next turn try to move down. If he moves down now, he's going to lose something, if not everything, to all of these attacking guys. So the play this turn might just be playing another Earthborn Mystic down in the top and just accepting that it's not going to be much of a turn. He would get some idle damage in, but it wouldn't be particularly consequential. And maybe hope that either JonLx foolishly moves his guys up, or that Verzuvius can find something to put in the way and safely move down. He's got a Fear Bombard play. I'm sorry, I'm thinking like 2 turns ahead, because this turn is just, he obviously can't move down. But for this turn, he could do maybe Earthborn Mystic Kinfolk Brave down to the bottom. Still can't make a Veteran play because of the armor. Could drop Ancestral Totem, but I would probably save that until he can actually do something with it immediately. But Edith does go ahead and play the Totem, so he's going to get some extra damage in, 7 damage to the top idol. The Totem is in front blocking. JonLx won't want to move up this turn unless he wants to try to bombard next turn, which is conceivable. I could see him wanting to do that. Maybe Tempest Reaver in front, move these guys down, and bluff that he has a Machinated, which I imagine he has in this deck if he's got the Stormrunners and the Canonettas. We just haven't seen it yet. And if he does move up, that puts a lot of pressure on Verzuvius. He has a Rallying, so we might see that come down and try to get some damage in, but let's see, 3, 2, and then that would be 4 left. So he wouldn't be able to wipe it with a Rallying, at least without Rallying plus something else. Even as simple as a Ragged Wolf would be enough. But that's the decision JonLx is making. He's got to decide whether or not to move up or stand pat in the middle. Looks like he's content to stay in the middle and make Verzuvius come to him. On 5 resources, we'll see a Tempest Reaver probably come down, more armor in front, 2 scouts in front, so if Verzuvius does want to move down, he's risking running into a Bombard Machinated play. Now JonLx doesn't have the Machinated, but Verzuvius doesn't know that, and can't safely move down, but the problem is he can't play anything else on the field that's safe. So he really doesn't have much of a choice except to try to move down. Can't play anything in the bottom 4 rows at all because of these attacking creatures without it taking damage. So I think it's a risk he's going to have to take. Verzuvius cannot just sit here any longer, or he's just going to lose. He's going to lose the idle race. With this Wetland Ranger, he'll be deciding whether or not to finish off the top idol or move down for aggression next turn. Depends on his overall strategy. Again, the veterans aren't useful right now with that range. I guess he could play a Great Wolf behind with plans to A, hope he survives this massive attack next turn, and B, attack with Rallying the next turn. Maybe Brave. He does go ahead and Veteran. Interesting. Oh, I forgot about the Ancestral Totem. That's why he played that. That's pretty darn key. That gets the attack up to 4, just enough to kill the Scout Automaton with Armor 1. So he is able to make that trade, and he's very happy to make that trade. And so he does take out the Scout, move down into attack position for next turn. Does not have another Veteran in hand, but does have some other tricks up his sleeve potentially, especially with what he might draw. JonLx now. What you got? Would like to find Machinated. If he can Machinated Bombard and probably wipe Verzuvius' board except for this Totem. Need to see a sacrifice for scrolls here. We might see the Scout sacrificed. Let's see. Lots of choices. He could go up to 6, play Scout Bombard with Scout Scout. Okay, he does get rid of that, the Dust Runner. That was another option to try to get that behind and get a shot off on the Striped Fangbear, but that needed some help to be a good play. He could go Scout Scout Bombard, and that would take out the Wetland Ranger and drop the Fangbear to 2 health. He does play a Scout up. Bombards. Oh, interesting. Okay, so he shifts up to take out the totem, moves his units up, so he'll take out the ranger and only deal 1 damage to the Fang Bear. He can move his Dust Runner up to finish off the veteran, and I imagine he will. And the decision then will be what to do with the gun auto, either up on the middle idle or down on the bottom idle. Chooses intelligently, I think, to move down, spreads out his damage a little bit better, doesn't risk the gun auto to the Relentless Bear, decreases Verzuvius' choices. Attacks come in, clears everything but the Striped Fang Bear, who will get a consequential attack off this turn. Quite a lot of damage, but really, as of right now, it's just going to kill 1 unit. It can kill the Automaton and then deal 1 damage to the Canonetta is, I think, his best play there. So that's kind of unfortunate for the V-Man. Gets rid of a Wolf. On 6 resources, can go Fang Bear Brave. He could try a Rumble and see if he gets lucky, but that's really just a gamble. Can't really do a rallying play. He can go double brute and set up for something 2 turns from now. Really kind of yucky. Maybe I think what I would do here is Fang Bear Brave. Do Fang Bear Brave as his formation. Hope for no Thunder Surge. Get an attack off and then plan to potentially rally next turn, but it looks like the double brute is going to be the play instead. It's a little more of a conservative play, but it's definitely safer. Gets away from Thunder Surge a little bit. JonLx does see his Tempest Reaver go up to 6 attack, so he could just take down this Terran Brute if he so chooses. No countdown reduction. So for Verzuvius, we'll see at least 2 of his units survive till next turn, potentially allowing for a rally play. Piercing Projectile, if it goes on that Tempest Reaver, would actually take it to 5 attack if I'm doing my math right. So that would take out the Brute and then deal 2 damage to the back idle. He could play a Cannon Automaton. It would down the Tempest Reaver to no attack, unfortunately, but would get a strong unit out for future turns. I love the Cannon Automaton. No stats on it, but there's the stats on this Spark. 577 wins on 640 matches played. Sacrificed almost as much as it's played, but still a strong scroll. Been around for over a year. Anyway, the Tempest Reaver moves up. Units coalesce in the 2nd row. And what are we going to see? He can afford to spend 2 resources and still kill the Brute. Spark isn't all that impressive. I'd save it for surprise next turn. Piercing Projectile doesn't really do that much. I might just pass and take the kill. He does go ahead and Spark. Takes out the Brute. So Verzuvius is almost certainly going to lose that Brute, but knows it. If he wants to make a rally play here, it's going to be a Vetter of the Wild rallying, which would allow the Brute to attack. But really that just kills the Automaton and the Scout. That's basically it. Not super impressive. I guess he can go Brave rallying, so that's a little bit better because that will take down all 3 of these guys. So I apologize for missing that. That's definitely the right play. Not that it's a play without risks. He still is in a lot of trouble if JonLx can top deck a Thunder Surge. We haven't seen one yet, though. He may or may not actually have it in his deck. Now choosing what to sacrifice. Would probably want to hold on to that Piercing Projectile if he can, because that's a big piercing play next turn with that Tempest Reaver. Maybe get rid of the Cannon Automaton, even though I love it. Could get rid of the Violent Dispersal, but I think that's an answer for the Striped Fang Bear that he really wants to not let get another attack off. It's gotten 2 or 3 consecutive attacks now. I think 2. 3 total. Cannon goes, interesting, finds a Corrode. Don't see a lot of those in play right now. So I guess my play this turn would be maybe the Elder behind the Tempest Reaver, with plans to Piercing Projectile next turn to take out some of these units, or maybe he goes ahead and Violent Dispersals the Striped Fang Bear. Looks like he's not going to be aggressive, though. He's going to move down, play the Elder, and he's just going to let Verzuvius have the top of the board while taking control of the bottom of the board. So JonLx is happy to share the board. The 2 will fight over the middle idle. Whoever can take it down will be at a tremendous advantage now. Double Rumble for Verzuvius, so he could try for a double Rumble play just for a fun dance party effect, but I don't think that's what he's going to do. Unfortunately, Striped Fang Bear is strong, but would really like to combo that with another scroll. Just dropping a 4-drop on round 10 isn't really enough for what he wants to do, especially since that Brute won't be in a position to attack for quite some time. Can't really move to the middle safely because the Tempest Reaver is going to go up to be a 6 attack unit again. But he also needs to be careful. If he doesn't if Verzuvius doesn't go to the middle, then the Reaver can just move up and take that down, and that forces Verzuvius to defend this bottom idol, which is already on 4 health and is already threatened by 2 units, and those units will be on 1 countdown by then, and it's just going to be tough to win that battle, or just not lose everything over and over again as he desperately throws scrolls in front of it. So he might have to move down, is what I'm saying. He doesn't know about the piercing projectile. It's not commonly played, so it's probably a surprise. So I think what we're going to see this turn is Fangbear played and then 2 units moved down. I think that's what we're going to see. We do see the Brave move down. Brute moves down. Maybe the Bear will move down as well. So all 3 move down. Fangbear played to the top. I want to see that go up. Yep, that's fine. And then spreads for Thunder Surge. And now JonLx with the piercing projectile can make a big play here. It's not a huge crushing play, but it's definitely powerful. Finds a Storm Runner as well. Pitches it for scrolls. Finds a Forge and a Gun Auto. So let's see. He needs to keep the Reaver on 4. If he does a piercing projectile, that means going no lower than 3 resources. So he really has 3 to play with to still get 2 kills. So he does piercing projectile, moves the Reaver up, still has 3 to play with. Could drop a Forge in the middle. That'd be pretty darn potent. Make it really difficult for Verzuvius to ever retake control of that middle. At least without Rumble coming into effect with some attacking units. Currently, if he pierces, it's 5-1. If he goes down to 4, which, am I doing my math horribly wrong? I might be doing my math horribly wrong. Yeah, so he's not going to want to play something else, I don't think, because that would, like if he drops a Forge, then that's only a 2 attack unit. Obviously, he doesn't want to do that, so I'm doing my math horribly wrong. I apologize for that. He could drop a Gun Auto and still, nah, he doesn't want to do that. He wants those kills, so I think that's going to be it for his turn other than movement. Does get that damage in. So the Bear will get an attack off. Won't be able to kill the Reaver without help. Does have Earthen Mirth, so he can get in there with 8 relentless damage. Maybe see Earthen Mirths with a Nog in front, or maybe Rumbles hopes that some of these units stack up and then he can Earthen Mirth and try to get I guess it'd be a 2 for 2 at that point, maybe even a 3 for 2, which is not what he wants to do, assuming the Fangbear dies afterwards. I don't see any home run plays. I think the action, if he's got to decide between Earthen Mirth to take out this Reaver now, or he can just play multiple units and set up hopefully for a big attack next turn maybe. But he's got to do something substantial. He can't just continue to trade back and forth. Here's a Rumble play, no stack at all. So he can still Earthen Mirth to take out, maybe the Elder would be the play at this point, move the Bear down, but then he loses his Fangbear to this Gun Auto. That was just really an unfortunate Rumble. I don't know what would have been, there are some things that could have been better, but the odds were so slim, I don't know if that was worth the gamble, but it could have paid off big time if a couple of these guys would have stacked up, but they just didn't. They just didn't. So a third Fangbear comes down, and he does just go ahead and take out the Gun Auto. So he didn't have to invest any extra scrolls. The Elder can come in and kill this Fangbear, with the only downside being that it would be exposed to the double bear up here. But maybe what he does is just go ahead and move that down, drop a Forge in front, Gun Auto behind, and say, come get me. Or maybe he shifts the Reaver behind, plans for a big piercing attack next turn. He still hasn't sacrificed, so we don't know his full options yet. But I wouldn't mind seeing him Forge, Elder in the middle, Reaver behind, sacrifice for resources, plan for a big attack next turn, and just dare Verzuvius to stack those bears. Violent Dispersal, not a bad play either. Taking down the bear before it gets a chance, and one with an attack, and now Verzuvius has only the Lonely Bear. And sacrifices for scrolls, has a bunch of small stuff in hand. Big piercing attack for 8 damage next turn coming in. So even if you put something in front of the bear, it's still going to die, and there's nothing he can do about that. So really Verzuvius' only choice with this Fangbear is unfortunately to move it up, out of the way, and that's just what JonLx wants. That lets him control the board. But Verzuvius really doesn't have an option. There's nothing he can do to protect against that Tempest Reaver. Nothing at all. So I guess the play at that point would be bear up, and then 3 units down here. Maybe he goes Nog in front, Brave behind. Oh, looks like he's going to defend up here with that Nog. Brave down here. I might just go ahead and drop that Mangy Wolf, just have another thing on the board. You don't get its countdown reduction, but at least it's a thing on the board. But he saves it, hoping for big wolf play later, maybe. JonLx finds Spark. Doesn't need to move up and challenge this bear at all, I don't think. I think he can just take down the middle idol, which means he can afford to play something for 3. Maybe pitch the Corrode. No, he gets rid of Piercing Projectile. Ooh, finds a Bombard. Interesting. Could Cannon Automaton Spark and forego killing the idol for now? And, I mean, that's a lot of beef in the middle row. It'd be tough to deal with for Verzuvius. So what I would do then would be Elder up, Cannon Automaton middle, or maybe Automaton in front with that armor, and then Spark on the Brave. Let the bear do its thing up there, not really care. Nog is inconsequential at this point. What other options might he have? I don't think he can find lethal by any means, even with Corrode. He could Corrode Bombard. That would drop this to 2 attack. Nah, that wouldn't do it, obviously. Could Corrode Bombard Gun Auto and take down the Brave and the center idol. We do see the Spark. That might be all he does. He might just take down the middle idol. He's got Corrode and Piercing, so he could just win the game out of nowhere, especially with Bombard plays. So he does just go ahead and take down the middle idol, threatens the bottom idol as well. With Bombard Corrode, every idol's really being threatened at this point. Verzuvius doesn't know about either of those scrolls, but he can at least suspect the Bombard. Verzuvius finds a Rallying. He has a Veteran in hand, only 7 resources to play with. He could Ragged Earthen Mirth and take out that Elder. I wouldn't mind that play. And that lets him move back up to the middle and leaves JonLx with just the Tempest Reaver in play. Of course, it's a strong scroll, but the only risk to that play is the bottom idol is completely undefended, and something like Gun Auto, Bombard Corrode, which I think JonLx has, would end the game. So I think that's what we're going to see is the Rag & Wolf, Earthen Mirth, and I think JonLx is just going to counter by winning the game. But Verzuvius couldn't have known it, and we'll see if JonLx has it. He does indeed have it in hand. He needs to go to 8 resources, which he can afford to do. Gun Auto, Bombard Corrode wins the game. Here it is. There's the Gun Auto, up to 8 resources. Bombard and Corrode. Well done, both players. JonLx manages to take it down with a combo play. This has been Smogan with Scrollscast. Thank you so much for watching. Leave comments with things that you like about my cast and things that I can improve on. I'm always happy to learn. Thank you for watching.